Welcome back to the Build Bodies podcast. I'm your host, Alan Jaramillo, and in today's podcast, we're going to be talking about why most people are majoring in the minors instead of majoring in the majors, okay? I'm creating this podcast because I see an overwhelming amount of things out there that tell me that people are focused on the small, minute, like little details, okay? And what I mean by that is that they're focusing on things that don't necessarily matter for what they really want. And in this podcast, I want to show you exactly how to identify these things, how to make sure that you crush your fitness goals instead of feel like you're on the same hamster wheel year after year after year. And then we're going to go into some practical ways to implement this for yourself, okay? So the first thing that I want to do is I want to define what it means to major in the majors, okay? Majors are like the big rocks, okay? They're actions or decisions that make a real difference, and minors are usually distractions or very low impact tasks. And think of it like this. If I were to show you a glass jar, okay, and I wanted to fit as many rocks in it as possible, and I had the majors and the minors, okay, the majors being very big rocks and the minors being little pebbles. I would fit a lot more into this goal if I focused on, into this jar, if I filled the jar with very big rocks first, and then I filled in the little cracks with the minors, okay? Those little rocks, all right? Instead of filling it with minors first and then putting in the big rocks last. That's the biggest thing because it makes it much easier for us to accomplish more than just focusing on the minors themselves, okay? Now, I also want to discuss why it's so easy to focus on the minors. They're often easier, less intimidating, and they give a false sense of productivity, okay? This is like, always planning, okay? A lot of people who are afraid to take action, they love the planning process, which means that instead of them going to the gym, they love planning these workouts. They love building workout folders. They love looking up YouTube videos online. They love, searching up recipes, saving them. How many workouts and recipes do you have saved in your Instagram folder right now that you have not even touched for the last year? Probably hundreds, if not thousands, okay? And that's because that's an example of a minor tasks, okay? Now, let's get into examples of majors and minors in regards to fitness, okay? A major in fitness is consistently hitting your workouts, macros, sleep, okay? That's one thing that's huge. Eating micronutrient dense foods. Those are the big things. The minors is like debating the perfect pre-workout or supplements or obsessing over like minor variations in your routine, cold plunges, saunas, okay? Overthinking ingredients, okay? There's a lot of that right now where instead of making it easy for people to get into fitness, you have people that do a lot of fear-mongering marketing, which means that they make you fear certain foods that are totally healthy for you and fine to eat. We have the seed oils right now. We have people who think that oatmeal is very bad for you. They have people who think that fruit is bad for you. So on top of the overwhelming amount of information out there, there's a lot of misinformation, and fear-mongering, which only makes it harder for people to cross that barrier of getting real results, okay? Instead, they're kind of just stuck in the weeds here. They're stuck in the minors. They're not moving anything forward. They're just focusing on staying busy with these little things that are very easy to work on instead of doing the major things that require a lot of work. Now, for example, just to give you another comparison, this one's related more towards life in general. Majors in life would be like investing in your health, maintaining strong relationships, and practicing personal growth. A minor's example would be worrying about keeping up with trends, minor inconveniences, or small tasks that just don't align with your values. Okay, so a key takeaway here is to always come back to your core values and identify the majors, okay? So that brings us to how do we identify and focus on our majors? Number one is going to be to set very clear goals. Oftentimes, you can make sure that you realign what your actions are by remembering what that goal is. And I'll give you an example. If you're focused on weight loss and you're worrying about your cold plunge in the morning or your sauna in the morning or whatever crazy routine there is out there, you're not focusing on the big building blocks, the majors that will get you to drop body fat and retain muscle. In this case, the majors would be focusing on a calorie deficit, which is the most important thing in a weight loss phase. It would be maintaining macronutrients so you can preserve your muscle mass. And the third thing would be just focusing on showing up to your workouts and being consistent with them, okay? Instead of focusing on the creatine, I got to take the creatine. I got to focus on waking up at 5 a.m. I have to focus on all these crazy mobility routines. I have to make sure that I have single ingredient food. Now you're adding all of these different layers that prevent you from getting started to the actual thing that's going to move your weight loss journey forward, okay? Now, number 2 is to set a reality check, okay? Ask yourself, is this task directly contributing to my goal, or is it a distraction? Okay, this is very important. And here's an example. Are you planning your workouts or just reading about workouts? Okay, I love the example of saving workouts on Instagram. Saving workouts on Instagram is something that everyone pretty much does. That's why they're still so popular years and years and years after they've been around. It's very, very, harming for a lot of people to get that dopamine hit by saving these workouts and just not doing them, okay? When you save the workouts, you feel like you're being productive, and that's why it feels good. But getting in the gym and actually doing them is what is required to get the result, and that's something that a lot of people are not the best at. Number 3 is going to be the 80-20 rule, okay? Normally, this rule it stands true in pretty much everything in my personal experience, and that is focus 80% of your effort on 20% of the actions that yield the biggest result. And here's an example. If meal prepping saves you hours and helps you hit your goals, prioritize that over experimenting with niche recipes or trying a new crazy routine that's unsustainable. If you know that when you have a great week with nutrition, it's because you meal prepped, all you need to do is just meal prep, and then your week goes fine. A lot of times we get stuck in the weeds where we see a trend or we see a new recipe or we see the shiny object, and that convinces us to create a brand new routine. But all we had to do was stick with the same routine that we were currently in. Another thing that's really important here is staying consistent with your majors, okay? So some practical strategies are blocking time on your calendar for major tasks. I always tell my clients that if they're going to show up for a workout, treat it like a non-negotiable appointment. I also believe that the hardest thing in your day should be done first. So if you know that going to the gym is not your strong suit, you're probably going to be forced to wake up early and go to the gym and do it before your day gets started, okay? And then I also want to motivate you, encourage you to be very nice to yourself, okay? I find that a lot of my own personal clients over the last 7 years of coaching have really had a struggle with celebrating their wins, okay? A lot of times, nothing's good enough. We lose 10 pounds, I wish I could have lost 20. We lose 20 pounds, I wish I could have lost 40. It's never enough. So I find that the most successful clients are the ones that actually show themselves grace and they compliment themselves. How crazy is that, right? A lot of us are not good at complimenting the work that we're doing, and that's why we just want to quit eventually. It becomes very draining if you don't get good at complimenting yourself and showing yourself grace. So over the years, this has probably been one of my weakest links, and that is celebrating the progress that I've made, not only in my fitness, but also in my own small business. I've had a very hard time celebrating myself, and if it wasn't for people around me to help recognize that, like my partner or friends, it would be really hard for me to do that. So I'm telling you, give yourself more compliments, okay? The person that you are right now, compared to the person that you were a year ago, the person that you were 5 years ago wishes that they were in the position that you're in right now, okay? So don't think that it's not good enough. Just focus on things that will move your life forward, and your future self will always thank you for it, okay? Especially when it comes to fitness. Now, I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I really wanted to make this episode because I'm seeing a lot of people become distracted nowadays, and social media can definitely help, but it can also be the distraction. You see this person getting results with this method. You see another person doing this. You see multiple doctors online who are very credible saying that you can lose weight this way and you can lose weight that way. A lot of it is noise. A lot of it is noise. And that's exactly why hiring a coach and receiving one-on-one accountability is one of the things that I recommend the most. That's really when my results started to skyrocket, is when I had someone telling me exactly what to do, so I wasn't getting my advice or direction in life from any trend on social media that's currently going on. So keep that in mind. It might be worth looking into, especially as we go into 2025. If you have any questions, concerns, or you think that someone could benefit from hearing this episode, shoot it their way or share it on your story. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you on the next one.